right, folks. James McCormick here with Digging History. And I've already got the comments about how I need to shave and get a haircut. I get it. I get it. I don't normally grow a beard, but this is a week's growth here. So there it is. I wanted to go over my finds today, and I had obviously you can see the big find right here. You know, and that is a James shell. Now, the James shell was used extensively, especially early in the Civil War. The place where we were at, this was used in 1861. So in West Virginia, most of the battles were early. Now every now and then you would, it's my son in the background there. He's actually been out metal detecting, found some pretty cool bullets. He's got a whole container full of them. So it's good to get kids involved in these things. But back to the James shell. The James shell, if you do a little bit of history and study on it, you'll find that this shell, and it's live. So you see it's wet. I'm soaking it in a 5-gallon bucket of water because we have to dearm it. And there's a process that goes along with that. Now, if you'll look right here, you'll see where something struck this shell right here. Now, I'm going to look and see if this is maybe someplace where they had a fuse or a something, but I don't think that's it. I've looked at it, and it looks like something actually struck it or the shell hit something. I don't know. I did look on the bottom. There is some lead that used to get in that, and there is still some lead attached to that. That's that white thing you see there. So these James shells were actually, they went out of service by, I think, 1863, but, they were still used, especially extensively in the South, and as the war began to dwindle down. But this one is definitely from 1861. It's a heavy shell. It's a beautiful shell. It was down around 24 inches deep. So if you look in the base, when this shell was actually faced like this, and ironically, it looked like it was, or interestingly, I'm sorry, it looked like it was fired from the Confederate side. But I think that it struck something and it flipped and it tumbled, because I believe that these were extensively fired, probably only fired by the Union, but I could be wrong. So I got to do some more research on the area. It was definitely fired. It is considered live ordnance. It's fairly safe, as long as you don't drop it or you get it next to heat. But when we drill this thing, and we'll safely drill it and defuse it, we'll show you. You can probably still burn the powder that's in here. This is the sabot round right here. So this is the actual round that had the powder in it. When we drill it, we'll, hopefully it'll loosen things up, and we'll be able to see if it was, or if it potentially it was just a solid shot, because they did make those as well. But I'm not going to take a chance with this thing. So literally it goes in a 5-gallon bucket full of water, and it's in a secure area. I got another artillery shell. I found 3 artillery shells in the last 3 years. And one I found, out of state. And it turned out to be from World War One. And so the area where I found it was on a beach that had a lot of activity. World War One, World War Two, and the shell was found it on the beach. It wasn't live. So I think it was a practice round, or I think that it had a wooden, it basically had a nozzle. And basically, I'll have to show you one day when I find it's about this long, and it's totally empty and it's been cracked. It looks like, probably a 5-inch shell. So this one, and then I found another one, January the 1st, 2020, a year that I'm sure none of us are going to soon forget. It was in the Barbersville area, and I just cleaned it up, and it was hollowed out. So it was rotted and had been fired, and so there was really the outer shell casing, was all I had. And it wasn't that heavy. That's what I noticed. And whenever I started to dig it apart and pull everything out of it, I realized, that, for some reason there was nothing in the shell. Had a big hole that went all the way through it. So that's a good thing. But this one's a little different. So we're going to have to be careful with this bad boy right here. So let me show you some other things that I found. I found a couple of old broken horseshoes and started to clean that up. You can see that, another broken horseshoe. Found a really nice cannonball fragment. And, it very well could have came from a James shell. So as I'm looking at some of these, it could have been a cannonball or it could have been from a James shell. I found James shell fragments in the same area, but look how thick that is. Usually if it's a cannonball, it was a canister, and we find a lot of these, in and around that same area, and it's literally in a guy's front yard. This shell was found within 50 feet of my car, within 45 feet from a front door of a house, down around 18 inches. Found some other modern things. This is kind of interesting, so it doesn't look like much, but this is broken. I'm sorry, that's okay. So this right here is from a belt. So this is kind of like a belt keeper. It's very bad condition, but it could be Civil War, it could be pre-Civil War. Found this out there, have no clue what it is. Now, Corbett found a trigger off of a rifle, and that's a pretty good find. But I think as we looked at it, I think it was part of the hammer mechanism. This is an old bolt, and you can see where as we try to clean it off, sometimes you'll lose some of that. This is an odd looking patina on this cannonball fragment, but it's still so cool. Then some more modern things. I found a lipstick case. So this is definitely some 1960s, 1970s jazz. I'm going to say 70s, just because I seem to remember my mother and my grandmother carrying a little lipstick around with them, whenever I was little. Found some sort of a piece of jewelry, not valuable at all, some kids' jewelry. It is metal. It is, rang up pretty high. And I found this bullet here. So not sure what it is, but it's a small caliber bullet. And then I found the Powerhouse Union-made button here, and this is from 1960s time period. It was a pair of coveralls, so this is what that came off of. At first I thought it was a rivet off of some horse tack, and that wasn't it. And this is a 1970s, maybe 1980s, probably more like a 1980s. Looked like some sort of a belt thing. Probably somebody kept their keys on there at one time. So this might have been a key keeper. Pretty cool. Found a nice screwdriver, and it works. Okay, so look at that. So I'll clean that up, put it in the toolbox, and it will be utilized. That's fact. All right, so I'm going to get my shell back in the water. But again, James McCormick with Digging History. And, we have Byron Tucker, and we have Corbett Perkins. And tomorrow, we're actually going to go out and we're going to hit some areas around Mason County. So it should be a lot of fun. And I might shave, but then again, I might not. But one thing's for certain, folks, all of this stuff, you're never going to find it sitting on the couch. You got to get out and get to digging. Be safe, socially distance, wear your mask. We wear gloves. You know, we don't go up and hug on each other. We're a bunch of grown men. You know what I mean? We just don't do those things. We don't get in each other's faces. We don't, hug each other and things. It's because COVID is real. And so we are looking to, keep ourselves safe, as should each and every one of you. And if you are struggling with that, I don't know what else to tell you other than the science is there. And I know plenty of people that have gotten this stuff. And I tell you this, I don't want it. And I don't want my kids to get it. And so therefore, that's why we socially distance, and we are serious, very serious at digging history and honoring the sacrifice about safety. And that is just part of one of those things. It's not some kind of a conspiracy theory thing. All of these things that people are talking about and saying, I don't feel that, it's any different than me putting on a seatbelt. Okay. I do that. It has been ingrained in me. It's a force of habit, and thousands of people's lives have been saved. Same thing with your mask. The same thing with your social distancing. These are things that you really just should do. If you do your own thing, okay, that's fine. But please just think about other people. A lot of people out there, a lot of people have dealt with cancer. Kids, adults, think about them. So I didn't mean to make this into a sermon about COVID, but, we travel a lot and we do a lot of things, and we want to, we're safe, and we want to share that message as well. And we find some really cool things, So this is going back in the water. This stuff is going to probably, we'll end up probably treating this and cleaning some of this as well and getting it on display. Remember, if you're a teacher or you're involved in any kind of history, you have a museum, we have a lot of artifacts, and we're willing to share them, especially with people that are doing educational things with kids. Now, if you just want something to set up on your shelf, then you go get a metal detector and you go find it, because that's not what I'm doing this for. I will definitely donate things to schools, especially, things like really safe things like Civil War bullets, canister shot. This stuff right here, it's just plain iron. It's not going to do anything. Horseshoes, pieces of equipment. We've got all kinds of stuff, and we're not, we would love to be able to share it. So if you're in that category, give us a call, shoot us a message, subscribe, okay? And get up and get to digging. God bless, folks, and have a great and wonderful day.